So, hello and welcome to my boxing prediction for the upcoming heavyweight clash between David Adeleye and Fabio Wardley. Although I probably should have said it the other way around because Wardley is the British champion. So I think initially they weren't going to put the belt on the line, but I think the fine people in Saudi have decided to put the British title on the line, which makes the fight a lot more interesting. I think what we'll do is we'll go through, I'll just discuss both points on why I think each fighter could win and what they need to do in order to do that. And then I'll give you my prediction, but we'll keep it short and sweet. In summary, I don't think it's a 50-50 fight like a lot of people are making out. I think there is one clear winner, in my opinion. Saying that, there is a brief period throughout the fight where I think maybe it could go the other way. But ultimately, I only see one of them becoming victorious. So, first of all, let's talk about Fabio Wardley. So he's obviously got a bit more experience than Adeleye in the pro game. Although he's come from a white collar background, he's accelerated in his career a lot quicker, and he's fought a lot better opposition. Highly ranked opposition. For example, Gorman. Saying this, he is vulnerable. There's been a few times where he's been rocked, from the Vallely fight right up to the Gorman fight, where there were stages where you thought, will he come back from this? How's he going to react? And I think time and time again, the thing I love about watching Wardley is he comes out, boxes okay. I wouldn't say he's got that pedigree that that you get from the amateurs. And then as soon as he gets clipped or remotely staggered, it's like a red rag to a ball, and he will completely then decimate his opponent. Not always in the prettiest way, but good for the fans, isn't it? We want to see a knockout at the end of the day. And I think this fight is going to be no exception. I think there is definitely going to be a knockout. I don't see the point in the judges even turning up, and I'm quite confident in saying that. What does he do well? We know that like I say, he's got that channeled aggression, even though he manages to carry himself as, a very sincere, how do I even word it? He comes across as a gentleman. He's careful with his words. He's eloquent. He's not trash talking. He's trying to do it all the right way. Some people would say potentially a little bit boring, but others would say that he carries himself well. And what makes this interesting is you've got the complete opposite in a David Adeleye who plays that roadman. He's in your face. He's telling you that he's going to knock you out. In his game, and it's going to be, in a way, a little bit, there's some kind of parallel here between Joshua and White, in that you've got the guy who's trying to position himself well against the guy who is just going to come and try and take his head off. So looking at Adeleye, we know that he's got a bit more about him in terms of an amateur pedigree. He's come up and he's performed reasonably well throughout the amateurs. He's kind of, and I don't know whether this is because he's being misadvised or he's just not looking to make the big fights himself, but I do feel that his career has become a little bit stagnant, and at this point he probably could have already challenged for a British title. Correct me if he has, but I don't think he's gone to that sort of level. Looking at his box rec, you're looking at his last two opponents, and they're ranked kind of 225 and 236 in their division, which obviously it tells us that he's not fought anyone like Fabio Wardley before, whereas the reverse can't be said for Wardley. So yeah, he's fought a lot of kind of experienced, well, I say experienced, but he's fought a lot of almost journeymen that have come over from different parts of Eastern Europe, and obviously he's done well. I mean, the only clear mutual opponent they've got that I can recall is Chris Healy, who come in at short notice for Wardley. I think he got him out of there in 2 rounds, and that took Adeleye 4 rounds. So there's not really any parallels to draw here, but what I'm looking at is the fact that you've got point number 1 is their background. So although Adeley's got that pedigree and got that amateur background, it's a very different game to the pros. And I think when you look at the experience in the pros, you can see that Wardley's got a lot more. He gets criticised because he comes from white collar background, but I think in a way, white collar prepares you better than the amateurs for the pros. I know that's controversial, but what I mean in that regard is that there are elements to the pro game which you need to have. You need to be aggressive. You need to throw a lot. You need to try and dismantle and take out your opponent, which in the amateurs is not necessarily the case because it's more of a chess match, trying to point score, that sort of thing. So because he's come from a white collar background, I think Wardley has naturally got that in him. He's had to be in a few barn burners, and he's willing to slug it out, which I think Adeleye probably is as well. I'm not saying he's not going to do that, but I just think that, the pro experience there for me is the key difference. So as we're saying, I think Adelaide is going to try and take it to him. I think Wardley's going to come out, often criticised potentially for being a slow starter. I think he's going to be quite tentative. He's going to try and box. He's going to try and work Adeleye out, but I don't think Adelaide's going to have any of that. He's going to literally come in and try and take his head off from early rounds. So the way I see it panning out is I think that early on, say between 1 and 3, 1 and 4, I think Adeleye may actually take a couple of the rounds. I think he's going to be the active aggressor. I do think he will get to Wardley, but as soon as he hits him clean, which I think will probably happen maybe round 4, potentially 5, I do think that switch that we know Wardley for is just going to turn on, and he's going to become the effective aggressor and begin to turn the tides and take Adeleye out is what I think is going to happen. And I think it's probably going to happen mid rounds. I don't think it will go past 9 rounds. So I think my prediction would be that Wardley will stop him between 5 and 8, potentially in the 9th, a push. And like I say, the reason I think that is just because once he goes and he puts it all on the line, there's going to be a knockout, and I can't see. I mean, Adeleye could catch him cold in the first 3 rounds. That's my only concern, and this is why I said that it could go either way. However, I don't think he will, because I think that Wardley's not stupid enough in the ring to leave that many openings. I think he may take a couple, but whether he has to clinch, whether he has to tuck up, whether he has to just weather those first 3 rounds where he could be caught a little bit cold, I think he's got the ability to do that. And I think the reason he has the ability to do that is because of the experience he's had in the pro game. Whereas if we were talking 3, 4, 5 fights ago, when he hadn't fought Gorman, then it might be a little bit different and he might not know what to do. My prediction, like I say, Fabio Wardley to win via knockout between rounds 5 and 8. If you want a sort of safety bet, and I don't know what the odds are on this, but I just don't think it's going a distance whatsoever. So whether you put that in with an accumulator, with something else, I think that's pretty safe to go by. But that's my prediction. Thank you all.